healing, salvation, and happiness. It's your season. It's your time. God has plans for your life to prosper you and to give you hope and a future. Join us and learn how God's love and power can bring hope and happiness to your life. This is your opportunity for motivation, encouragement, and purpose.
How would you like to improve your finances? Well, here's your opportunity. Get ready for Kingdom Concept Media, the show that's designed to inform, educate, and inspire you to become financially astute. Get in on the latest conversations with host, Minister Jimmy West, about credit, investments, real estate, insurance, and a slew of other great topics. Every week, you will get a dose of great guests, hot financial trends, and tips to keep you on the track of success. And this week is no different. So sit back, relax, and get ready for Kingdom Concept Media with your host, Minister Jimmy West.
Well, hello, everyone, and thank you for joining Kingdom Concept Media TV show today. I'm your host, Minister Jimmy West, with our guest speaker today, Mr. Paul Medrano, co-founder and co-owner of PHP. And our mission today is to provide free education and financial literacy to everyone and their families, that they can make individuals and financial and sound decisions about their financial future. So, Mr. Medrano, we're going to talk about today's reality. But before we get into the segment, I would like for you to just, tell, everyone about you and who you are.
Thank you again, Jimmy, for having me on as a guest. Welcome, everyone. My name is Paul Medrano, co-founder and co-owner of the PHP agency, and have been involved in financial services almost going on 15 years now. My background prior to financial services, obviously, I got my degree to please my mom, did communications for a little bit. After that, I decided at a very early age to become an entrepreneur. My first business was a gym. I was big time into fitness. I was a national bodybuilder, Mr. Universe in '99. But after having my gym for so many years, I migrated from Texas out to Southern California and obviously wanted to make bigger, better money. So I got involved back then in real estate and did that for a number of years. I was a mortgage and real estate broker. And then obviously when 2008, 2009 came, that industry went bye-bye. And here I am now in financial services, helping out families and loving every day of it.
Well, that's good, Mr. Medrano. And again, we just thank you for giving us your time. So today, also we're still in the month of September. Life Insurance Awareness Month. So one of the things that we're going to talk about today is today's reality. A lot of things that happen, today, people don't like to really talk about the truth about really what's going on. So the first question that I'm going to ask you, Mr. Medrano, is to explain about, the disturbing lack of financial education, even in the schools, even in colleges, or even in the industry.
Yes. So that's a big one for me, Jimmy. And I'll tell you, I got my degree, I graduated, and it was crazy. In grade school, high school, and even in college, there was no mandatory classes on financial literacy, on how to protect your money, how to save, how to keep debt low. And it's a big issue. I mean, if you think about it, Jimmy, we have, Americans suffering financially big time today. The baby boomer generation, they retire in 5 to 7 years, they got to go back to work because there's no education. And, you go to your local bank, your local credit union, there's no classes being given, Yeah. And more, it's just becoming a bigger and bigger problem for America to face.
Yeah, and as we see, one of the statistics here, like 60% to 70%, affluent U.S. consumer do not have a financial plan in place. And why do you think that's the case?
Jimmy, I wish we could go back to the old school days. A big problem with today's consumers is, they watch TV, right? So what's the first thing they want to do? They want to get the Gucci's, the Ferragamos. They want the fast car. They want the sports car. They want the beautiful house.
Right.
And guess what they forget? The savings. They forget that back in the old days when mom and dad grew up, the first thing they thought of was paying themselves. The first thing they put, they tithe and they paid themselves and then they lived off of it. We've gone away from those days. Now people, they get money. What's the first thing? They can't wait to go buy that new watch. They can't wait to go spend it in Vegas.
Yes.
We need to get to our old school ways of saving. And like I always tell my families, look, I'm not trying to change your lifestyle. I just want you to pay you first. After you pay you first, you tithe, then guess what? Have at it. Go out. But that's one of the principles, Jimmy, that as we get older and the newer generations coming in, they have no idea about saving.
Yeah, and I totally agree. And especially with the thing that's going on in the world today with the economy and so forth and so on, it really important that we definitely need to know, how to go about, saving wealth and doing like you just said, pay ourselves first. So with that being said, the next thing that we're going to talk about, the failing, Social Security, elaborate on that a little bit.
Wow, this fund, Jimmy, and let's just read it. The combined trust fund reserves are projected to become depleted by 2034. And we've known this for some time, Jimmy, but even more so, people are not realizing that fund has gotten even smaller. It's going to be depleted even before that, and because of the pandemic. Why? Because people, number one, were being forced into early retirement. There was 2 years where people didn't work. So that money's not coming back in. So if you got money coming out and money coming and nothing going back in to feed this fund, how in the world are they going to fix it? And a lot of people don't realize, when they printed all that money and gave it out to people, the only way they're going to make up that money is through taxes, and now you got things like Cal Savers that they started. Why? Because they've got to force people to save money.
Right.
It's just a big, big challenge that we're facing today, Jim.
Yeah. And let me ask you a question, Mr. Medrano. But do you think that the Social Security, that it be depleted by then?
Yes, I do. 100%. There's no way they've got to come up with a new plan. They've got to come up with a new plan because it's gone.
Right. Yeah. And, and I think a lot of families be hurt by that. A lot of elder people that already have, retired and so forth and so on. So, I hope something happened,
yes,
by that time. So the next thing we're going to talk about is insufficient insurance protection. Let's elaborate on that a little bit, because I think as well I know, a lot of people don't like to even talk about, insurance for some reason or another. But, we have it on our cars, we have it on our vehicles, but when it comes to, ourselves, a lot of times people don't think it's important.
Yeah, it's a closet, Jimmy, that people don't want to open. Who likes to talk about death? They don't. But let me tell you, and we talked about this last time. I called it love insurance. Who do you love? Because when you leave this earth, guess what? They're going to be affected financially, whether it's your kids, whether it's your parents, whether it's your wife, your husband. Someone's got to take care of you and put you in the ground. Now you got bills, you got mortgages. The first thing when a spouse passes away, the first thing to go is the house.
Right.
And why? Because most families are dependent on two incomes. It's even worse when it's one income. But yes, Jimmy, it's a tough thing.
Yeah, and I agree. And that's why it is more definitely important now that we really educate people, like I said, on financial literacy, because financial literacy just don't entail just saving money, but as well as protecting your family, just, in case something like that was to happen. I know a lot of families that right now, if something was to happen, the breadwinner was to leave. Like I said, they'll be bankrupt, they'll lose their home and stuff. So Yeah, I totally agree. So, Mr. Madrano, what would you say that as individuals, you and I, what can we do more to really help and educate people, to really be able to be sound, have a sound foundation, so these things won't happen?
So what can we do? Number one, as agents, as brokers, we have to be aggressively out there helping families. That's number one. But two, we've got to just spread the word. We've got to spread the word, whether I teach at schools, I teach at businesses, and you'd be surprised. I had a client a while back, Jimmy. She was a principal, and she was my client. So I ended up speaking to her teachers because she told me that they have no clue what it takes to retire. You're seeing people getting up to, 60, 65 years of age, and they have a little over 100,000 in their 401k, their pension. That's not going to cut it. That's not going to cut it. They say today, Jimmy, to retire comfortably, you have to have at least of a minimum of $1 million in savings in different vehicles. And if you think about this, retiring, and let's say you pull out 5% a year at 65 all the way till 85. Jimmy, that's less than $50,000 a year. And I don't know, minus taxes, you're looking like 35. I mean, that's like roughly 3, maybe 4 grand a month. That's not going to cut it in California.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, and I know out in California, it is expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah, and I think you're right. We definitely need to be more diligent in in educating people. Because I mean, I'm looking at this generation that coming up now. Man, Paul, only thing they thinking about is just spending. Not saving. Like I said, the only thing they worried about is, big rims on cars, and like I said, the watches, and the expensive pocketbooks and those things. But when you got a family, you really have to think about your family first. And the sad part about it, I have seen a lot of kids. It seems like they are being put to the side, so to say, when it comes to the things. I was just talking to a young guy the other day, 15 years old. Paul, I mean, the young guy almost made me start crying because he didn't have no one to really express love to him and show him the way. And I made up my mind to become a mentor for him because I want to see this young generation to flourish, but they need someone like yourself, and myself to be there for them.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So the next thing we'll talk about, alarming debt. And we know that, with everything going on in the economy, we see that prices are going up, gas going up, food going up, housing is going up, everything is going up. I mean, and it's putting a lot of people in debt. So let's talk about that for a minute, Mr. Madrano.
Yeah, well, inflation, Jimmy, has gone up 10%. I mean, throughout this whole pandemic, and it's really put a lot of people in a worse position because of the fact that, you got interest rates going up. The Feds raised it up twice, 0.75%. So you got all these things increasing, and people are just using the credit cards. They're not working. Their savings, a bad thing that happened throughout this pandemic, the two years that passed, people just ate through their savings. So we got a lot of issues with that, Jimmy, and debt just gets worse and worse. So I believe right now, Jimmy, we're going to take a commercial break and then come right back. I'm getting the signal.
Yeah.
Attention ministry leaders. Have you ever considered growing your ministry with television? Well, the Daily Gospel Network could be what you've been looking for. As one of the nation's largest Christian broadcasting companies, the Daily Gospel Network broadcasts all over the world on popular streaming platforms like Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV. If you're looking to grow and reach more people, the Daily Gospel Network could be your solution.
There's nothing better than being inspired and renewed daily by the power of God. In Morning Tea with the King, author Tish Barnhart shares inspiration through a 90-day devotional that will rejuvenate your mind with scripture and your body with daily suggested herbal teas. You'll begin to see that every experience brings about a different perspective on how to view the things that are happening in our lives as we continue on our journey. Available at Amazon, your local bookstore, or at Trilogy.tv.
Yo, camping buddy. Okay, you guys ready?
Dude, I thought you were driving.
I thought you were driving.
Oh, I never said I was driving.
I definitely can't drive. If you're high, just don't drive. It's illegal everywhere. If you feel different, you drive different.
Looking for fun, laughter, and the best show on television that supports historically black colleges and universities? Well, look no further. The HBCU Alumni House Party has got you covered. Hosted by none other than Anthony Brown. The HBCU Alumni House Party uplifts, talks about, and reports all things HBCU. Great guests, great subject matter, and lots of fun. You can find the HBCU Alumni House Party on the Daily Gospel Network at 6:30 p.m. on Sundays, the Daily Gospel Network International Tuesday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern, and the Daily Gospel Network Plus at 4:30 p.m. on Thursdays, all on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. So, Mr. Madrano, we're going to pick up where we left off at, talking about the alarming, debt. So
let's talk about the student loan debt statistics in 2018. 1.5 trillion, 900 billion in credit card debt. When you look at these numbers, Jimmy, it's insane. And it's no wonder, Biden is forgiving student loan debt, because we got all these kids that did what they were supposed to do. They went to school, they got good grades, they got a degree. Now they have 50 to 100,000 in college debt with no job. So those are disturbing numbers. But you look at credit card debt, Jimmy, and I know because I sit with families, and Jimmy, it's normal to sit with a family and see $16,000, $20,000 in debt in credit card debt. That's what we call short-term debt. But then you got, the bigger families that are drowning, $30,000, $50,000 in credit card debt. Like, how do you get out of that situation? It's just really tough. And the average family, Jimmy, has between 10 and 12 credit cards. 10
exactly.
12 credit cards, yes. And what most people don't like doing is looking at their statements, because those interest rates, the credit card companies can change them without notifying you. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. They don't read the fine print. And this is why even paying the minimum, they're not getting anywhere. They're not getting it.
Exactly. And just looking at the statistic, that was in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
We're in 2022, that makes sense. And I mean, it's crazy, like you said, that, President Biden wants to, forgive these debts. That's because from 2018 to now, it just done got out of hand.
Yep.
So that's something that have to be done, because like you said, the kids go to school, 4-year degrees, or however long they go to college. Then they get out of college and they can't even get a job.
Yep.
Or can't get a job to even be able to pay the debt that they have.
Yep.
So
I think a lot of, on top of education, Jimmy, I think they need to come up with a lot more trade programs, trades. There's plenty of good trades out there that we could educate the youth in, because some kids don't like school, but
Exactly.
there's plenty of trades out there where they can make a decent living. But I think we got to focus a little bit more on that.
Exactly. And and that's one of the things that I even like, even with what you're doing, myself, that we also can help people to be able to do something that can help eliminate that by becoming a agent, dealing with financial services. Just talk about that a little bit, Mr. Medrano.
Yeah, and so that's why I love my profession, Jimmy. My license has made me way more money than my degree ever did. And I believe in school, but I believe you go to school for certain things, to be a doctor, to be a CPA, to be an attorney, to be a nurse. But, you have students, let me give you an example, studying for a business degree.
Mm-hmm.
And the professor has never even owned a business. So
Right.
I just don't, that to me doesn't correlate, and this is another thing that with our educational system that I don't agree on. Our kids go to school for 2 years to take basics that they're never going to use ever again.
Right.
And I know this because I remember when I was in school, I had to pay for those books. It's a business. People forget that our education system is a business, but for me, I don't get why our students our kids, why are they wasting 2 years of time and money when we can just get them right to what they need? So yes, that's a big challenge for us, Jimmy.
Yeah, and I agree, and I think that one of the reasons I think these here colleges now where they teaching trades and stuff, I think they're becoming kind of popular now.
Mm-hmm.
I see a lot of students, even when they get out of high school, they're going into trade school and they get a trade and stuff, which, that's good too. But, the biggest thing that I just look at, because I have a sister-in-law, that got all this debt, but still not, even as an educator, it's not making enough money to even pay off a college loan and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's sad. And to me, I think the educators should be some of the highest paid people out there. It's good the athlete get paid, but what good is the athlete probably wouldn't be where they're at without the teacher some educator, giving them what they need to get there.
Yep.
Yeah. Don't you agree?
100%. 100%.
Yeah. So, Mr. Medrano, the next thing we're going to talk about depleting pension fund.
Mm-hmm.
So, kind of, just talk about that a little bit,
Yeah. So let's read this here. There were roughly 149,000 defined benefit plans in 1982.
Mm-hmm.
Today, that number has dropped to 37,000. Look at that number, Jimmy. On top of that, we've got 401ks. Over the past year in 2022, 401ks have dropped on average 20%, Jimmy. 20%. I think we need to get more savings plans that have principal protection like we offer. Most people are not aware of, the things where they can save money on their own.
Right.
They think right away they're sold on the 401k.
Right.
Oh, I got a 401k. Yeah, well, let me see it. Let me see it. Have you seen what it's done? And what's crazy, Jimmy? I educate people on this all the time. These people are good people. They're overfunding these 401ks when the company's only matching them 3%. And they don't know why, because everyone has told them, you got to get a 401k. Guys, they forget how 401ks did back then.
Exactly.
They're not doing good right now. But it's something that our employees are sold on. There's a lot of other products out there that can still perform very well, mirror the market, but at the same time, Jimmy, don't lose money. And that's what we try to go with in our crusade.
Exactly. Yeah. And I totally agree. I never thought that I would be in a situation that I am, teaching about financial literacy, because I didn't even know really what financial literacy was until I got into this industry. Mm-hmm. Because like I said, we go back, I wasn't taught that in school. I wasn't taught that in the military, and I see, over the years, I missed a lot, mm-hmm. From not, being educated, about this information. So, and you're right, even about the depleting pension funds, it's a lot of peoples out there, even that have to go back to work after they done worked all the years, after 70-some years, 70-some years old or 80, they having to go back to work because their pensions is being depleted, and I just think, that, we are able to help people to set themselves up where that won't never have to happen. Would you say that is true, Mr. Medrano?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And this is where we've got to come in and educate these people and show them what's out there, because most people aren't aware, Jimmy, that there's help out there. You just got to seek it. Most people think I've got to pay a financial advisor $500, $1,000 an hour to get help. There's other avenues out there. Our help is for free. That's what I love.
Exactly.
Our help is for free, but we've just got to get out there and spread the word, because this financial crisis, we've got to make it a financial movement. We've got to get people back to the old days of saving.
Yeah, and I agree. We need to, because it definitely like, as of now. So, Mr. Medrano, I just thank you again, for giving us your time. And everyone, we can be reached at 229-999-6788. And also can be reached at our email address at kingdomconceptmedia@gmail.com. So again, everyone, we just thank you, and we're looking forward to seeing you all next week. So again, Mr. Medrano, everyone have a good night.
Looking for inspiration, motivation, and the good news of Jesus Christ? Look no further. The Daily Gospel Network has what you need. With more than 300 ministries from all over the country broadcasting every week, you're sure to get your dose of spirit-filled encouragement from the great programs on the Daily Gospel Network. Catch the Daily Gospel Network on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, all mobile devices, and the internet.
We hope you enjoyed today's show. Kingdom Concept Media wants to inform, educate, and inspire you to reach your financial goals. Tune in next week for the latest conversations about credit, investments, real estate, insurance, and the slew of other great topics with host, Minister Jimmy West. And as always, we promise a dose of great guests, hot financial trends, and tips to keep you on the track of success. We look forward to seeing you next week. God bless.
Can't believe you're doing this alone.
I've done it before.
I remember. You threw your back out. How you holding up?
Hand me that board.
Nothing wrong with getting help.
I'm good.
I did it when Felicia left.
I'll figure it out.
I know you will, but you don't have to do it alone. That's all I'm saying.
If I promise to look into it, will you drop it and help me build this fence?
Now you need my help.
It can be a real pain sometimes, you know that?
Mm-hmm.
If you or a veteran you know needs support, don't wait. Reach out. Find resources at va.gov/reach.